Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Broken Sword, Shadow of the Templars. So we triggered a new doctor showing up, so let's talk to this new doctor. I'm kind of burnt out on talking to characters, and I kind of remember having this same experience before. Oops, clicked on the wrong thing. Where the whole Ireland section of the game was too much talking, and now we're still doing too much talking. Very little actual puzzle solving going on here yet. Seriously, game. Let's talk to this guy
Hi,
here.
my name's George Stobbart.
Yes, sir? Pleased to meet you, sir.
Call me George if you like.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's my name.
My name's Benoit, but everyone calls me Bunny.
Bunny?
That's right. I used to have this cute habit when I was a kid.
Keep it to yourself, Benoit.
Cute habit when I was a kid. Did he wiggle his nose? Pull on his ears? Hop around? Let's ask some questions and then ask him about pointless garbage in our inventory.
Do you know anything about a patient named Marquet?
No, sir, I don't know much about any of the patients.
I've never met a doctor who admits that he's only human.
I'm only a trainee, sir. I'm sure I'll get the hang of things.
So he's a trainee.
Do you know the nurse on Ward J2?
No, monsieur. This is my first day here.
First day
I
here.
can't wait to get my hands dirty. I was talking about treating my first patient, of course. I didn't mean I'd get my hands dirty with a nurse.
Shut up, Benoit.
Okay, sir.
Do you know what this white powder is?
No, sir.
What does this tissue mean to you?
Is that a nasal discharge, sir?
No, it's grease paint. Does this false nose mean anything to you?
No, it doesn't.
Here, take this pressure gauge.
Thank you, sir. What do you want me to do with it?
Well, keep it safe until I think of something.
Interesting. So I give the pressure gauge to him. Maybe I'll have him take the blood pressure on the guy.
What does this tool suggest to you?
Isn't that used to snap the patient's ribs when exploring the abdomen?
Have you ever heard of the Club Alamet?
No, sir.
Have you ever heard of a guy named Merlin?
No, sir.
Let's ask about the diamond.
Does this gem mean anything to you?
Jim,
Not
whatever.
me, sir.
Not getting any responses.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, monsieur. I've never seen him before.
And let's see if we can electrify him.
Shake my hand, Benoit.
I don't think that's a good idea, sir.
How come?
Dermatitis.
I don't have dermatitis.
I do.
Well, that's
See you later.
Right.
yet another example of seemingly nothing occurred there. I just gave the blood pressure meter to this guy. And let's go talk to this doctor again. Maybe he'll think I'm a doctor now and give me more information.
Excuse me, sir.
Aha! Just the man. You must be the new boy.
Oh.
Yeah, I must be.
Well, stop wandering about and make yourself useful. Bunny, come here, boy. This is Benoit, my nephew. Can I trust you to look after him?
Yes.
He is fresh out of medical school. It will open his eyes to see a real doctor on the job.
I'll bet.
Show him around. Let him see some real suffering.
So the guy's just gonna follow me around, I guess, now. Let's see. If I come over here, he's not with me. Yes, he is with me. He's just standing behind me. So,
Oh, doctor. You haven't taken my blood pressure.
we'll have the other guy do it and see if that works.
Will you keep quiet? You're disturbing the other patients.
I'll keep quiet when you've taken my blood pressure properly.
I have to see Jacques Marquet first.
I've
How
never
come
known
he
a
gets
patient
preferential treatment?
that cared
It's
about their
because
blood
he's
pressure.
got money, isn't it?
I'll come back when you've dealt with that chip on your shoulder.
So let's talk to this guy and maybe get him to take the blood pressure of the guy.
Hey, Benoit.
Yes, sir?
Use
Do you
that.
still have that gauge I gave you?
Ah, yes. What do you want me to do with it?
Use it on this guy.
Use it on Eric Sopmarsh.
Okay.
So he's gonna come over here and distract him, and while he's distracted, and I can finally walk over here. And let's see. We could talk to this guard, or we can just walk in here. I think we should walk in.
Rather you than me, pal.
I'm Dr. Stobbart.
Bonjour, docteur.
So it forces the conversation anyways. Let's ask about the gangsters.
Have you seen any suspicious characters on the ward?
Yeah, I have.
A gorilla and a weasel?
No, this was a tatty old bear.
How was the bear acting suspiciously?
Well, he was wearing a homburg.
Is that against the law?
No, but it's pretty weird for a bear.
Interesting. I don't know what an Omberg is.
Have you heard of a guy called Marquet?
He's in quarantine, doc, right behind this here door.
Marquet is just the man I wanted to see.
I wouldn't go in there if I was you. He has anthrax.
Okay. So, anthrax, I don't know if you actually need to quarantine for anthrax. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think you actually do.
I have to visit my patient.
What for?
Routine. I have to check he's still breathing.
What if he's not?
I'll sign the certificate and register his bed as vacant.
That's a cold and distant attitude to death.
Well, I've been institutionalized to the point of godlike aloofness.
The white coat suits you.
Thanks.
Let's ask about some other stuff.
Can you think of any sensible use for this plaster?
Sensible? No. Puerile? Yes. But you've probably thought of those already.
And this is another one of these conversations that it doesn't seem like things are going to get marked off as we talk about them. So that probably indicates that conversations with this guy don't really matter.
What does this tissue suggest to you?
It looks as if it has been used to wipe Satan's bottom.
I hate to say it, but you could be right. Do you recognize this red nose?
Don't get cute with me.
What do you think this tool is used for?
Branding mice without bending down.
Have you ever heard of the Club Alamet?
No. It sounds Middle Eastern.
Are you Thomas Merlin of Gruber Electronics?
Why
No.
would you ask him
Then
that?
you won't be needing this.
Let's ask about this.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, I have never seen him before.
And let's ask about the diamond, and let's try and shock him.
Do you recognize this gem?
It isn't an emerald, is it?
Yeah, I think so. Would you like to shake hands?
What for?
As a gesture of goodwill.
On reflection? No.
Catch you later, officer.
Au revoir, Doc.
So he's trying to stop me, but he just warned me. And I could still walk in here.
Marquet?
Yes. I am Marquet. I've been expecting you.
You have?
Well, what are you waiting for? Get it over with.
I just want to know what I should do with the gem.
The Lahmar gem.
Yeah, right here in my pocket.
I thought you were one of the assassins.
Assassins.
I never inhaled.
So, you were sent in my place?
Yeah. You could hardly make the trip to Ireland in your condition. What should I do with the gem?
Deliver it to the
Grandmaster, quickly tell him that I have found the tripod right here in Paris.
You have it?
Not yet, but it's being taken care of. I hired a couple of stooges with a flair for petty crime.
Would that be Flap and Guido by any chance?
You know them as for Klausner. He has gone off to Syria on a wild goose chase.
They have geese in Syria?
He has a theory about the location of the...
That's enough excitement for one day, Monsieur Marquet. What are you doing here?
Talking to this patient, of course.
Monsieur Marquet is my patient. If Herr Hagenmeier was to hear that...
Okay, I'm going. I'd learned all I could from Marquet anyhow.
Ah, there you are, sir. I was just coming to look for you. I finished with your pressure gauge.
Thanks, Bunny.
What's that noise? It sounds as if someone's having a cardiac arrest.
It's all right. The doctor's in there with him.
Are you sure he was a doctor?
Oui, monsieur. He showed me his ID. It was Dr. Braille.
There's no Dr. Braille working here.
He's an imposter!
Oh. Back in the room we go.
The door's locked. Help me, officer.
Stand back, monsieur.
And so we finish
Hello,
another
George.
act. So, interesting turn of events here. There are assassins, there are Templars. This is basically a very similar plot to Assassin's Creed. Now, I'm not saying Assassin's Creed stole the plot from this game, because I'm sure there's been tales of Templars and assassins fighting each other pretty much ever since it actually happened. So, no real reason to believe that it's not inspired by at least some true events. But an interesting coincidence. It's actually kind of surprising there aren't more stories centering around Templars and assassins. I guess by today's date, if you came out with a game like that, you would be at risk of being compared to Assassin's Creed games, which would just require that you make a pretty decent game, because half of the Assassin's Creed games aren't good. Let's ask her about the blood pressure cuff before we ask any important information.
No.
I guess not. Let's then talk about this guy.
I found Jacques Marquet.
Did he talk?
Yeah, he talked. For the very last time.
He's dead.
Yeah, killed in cold blood by a bogus doctor.
That's despicable. What kind of guy would pass himself off as a doctor and take advantage of a dying man? Was it Khan?
No, I don't know who he was, but it certainly wasn't Khan. He got away, out the window.
So we have now 2 assassins running around.
Have you ever heard of the Hashiashin?
No.
Marquet said that they were his biggest enemy.
His biggest enemy was the bogus doctor.
Don't remind me. That guy was evil. He had wild, staring eyes like a dead fish. I'll never trust a doctor again.
So the question now kind of gets down to the point, are the Templars the good guys or the bad guys? Or the assassins the good guys or the bad guys? Maybe they're all bad guys.
Do you think the assassin was responsible for killing Marquet?
I don't think so. He could have finished him off the first time. Besides, Marquet would have recognized him.
He was pumped to the gills with sedatives. He wouldn't have recognized the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse unless they'd introduced themselves.
That's the first time they've used the word assassin in the game. It's been murderer, killer before this point, I think. And I guess we need to look at the scroll again.
Let's take another look at the manuscript.
Let's see.
There's a guy with a sword and a bull. Between them is a gem supported by a tripod.
So if we know that the goons are going to try and steal
A
the
knight with a crystal ball. The knight's scroll
tripod,
bears a phrase in Latin. Through my
we need to
teachings, you will be
get to it
enlightened.
first.
Look there, 2 guys on the same horse.
This manuscript really isn't
There's a guy
that
working on a
helpful
loom.
at all.
There's a woman looking at her reflection in a mirror, but the reflection has 3 hideous faces.
It really feels like the game wants you to specifically look at the manuscript multiple times and not get any actual information from it.
I guess I'd better go back and talk to that weirdo.
Which one, Rousseau or Sergeant Mou? Oh, but you're referring to Andre.
I'll let you work it out.
So she's acting as a reminder to tell us where to go. We're still on number 9. Let's go to the museum. And see, we've finally got the guy, Andre, showing up. We've been trying to find this guy for a while, and the game simply wouldn't allow us to find him until it wanted us to find him. I guess we should
I
go
beg your
talk to
pardon.
the police at
Are
some
you
point,
Andre
too.
Lobineau?
That's me. You want my autograph?
No, I was told you may be able to help me.
Help?
My name is George Stobbart. I'd like your professional opinion.
Well, okay, shoot.
So, let's start with the conversations and then show them items.
Does the name Montfaucon mean anything to you?
Sure, it was the most grisly spectacle in Paris until the Revolution.
A public toilet?
Montfaucon was the place of execution for many thousands. A dark temple of death, with row upon row of arches, each one framing a grim exhibit. Scores of rotting corpses swung on creaking rope, while the crows devoured their flesh.
That explains the image of the hanged man. I found a reference to Montfaucon in Ireland, in a village called Lochmarn.
Lochmarn, that's where Pegram was digging.
That's right. He'd left the excavation before I arrived.
Let's keep clicking whatever's furthest to the left.
Do you know Pegram well?
Not really. I met him at a conference. I would have liked to talk to him in depth, but I didn't have time.
When was this?
Oh, back in the summer, July, I think.
I'd like your opinion on a medieval manuscript.
Vraiment? Do you have it with you?
No, it's too fragile. And besides, there are certain people who'd stop at nothing to get their hands on it.
Intriguing. Do you have a copy of the text?
There isn't much, only a few Latin phrases. I was kind of hoping you'd help decipher the pictures.
Without seeing the manuscript, that's a tall order.
Just tell me one thing. What does the image of 2 men riding on the same horse suggest to you?
The Knights Templar. Does the Templar seal appear on this manuscript? I'd love to see that for myself.
So we can just tell him about Nicole. He already knows who Nicole is.
The manuscript is being looked after by a friend.
In Paris?
Yeah, not far from here, in fact.
Well, just give me the address and I'll come round and take a look.
I'm not so sure about that. Maybe I should check with her first.
A female friend?
Yeah, she's a woman.
Let's skip this for a moment and click this.
Can you tell me anything about the Knights Templar?
I sure can, Georgie. Soldiers, diplomats, mercenaries, monks, bankers, you name it, the Templars fit the bill. The greatest fighting force in Christendom, the militia of Christ.
Jeez.
Let's continue down this path.
How did the Templars get their name?
From the building in which they set up their headquarters. The King of Jerusalem gave them part of a mosque on the Temple Mount. It was said to have been the site of the original Temple of Solomon. The order became known first as the Knights of the Temple, and later as the Knights Templar.
You're a mine of information, Andre.
Glad to be of help, Georgie.
Now, that's good information that he's telling us. I just don't know if it's all true information. I wouldn't want to take my history from a video game. It sounds real, but it may be wrong.
How come the Templars became so wealthy?
There was a constant stream of new recruits to their ranks, many from noble families. They were required to swear a sacred oath of poverty, chastity, and obedience. So, their money, goods, and lands were donated to the order. The Templars soon held land in France, Scotland, England, Spain, most of Europe, in fact. The poor Knights of Christ became the wealthiest power in Christendom.
Let's just keep going.
Is it true the treasure of the Knights Templar was never found?
Who knows? So little knowledge of what really happened remains. Or, if it does, the truth has never been made public.
What do you mean by that?
The Templars have attained mythological status, like the King Arthur of the Britons. There are people even now who say the Templars still exist.
Do you think that's likely?
No, not for a minute.
So we finally exhausted. Let's ask about the tripod.
I think you ought to know that the tripod is going to be stolen.
The Lochman tripod? No.
It's true. I can give you a description of the thieves.
Before the supposed event has taken place?
I heard them planning the raid.
They're wasting their time. The tripod is protected by a state-of-the-art alarm system.
Well, don't say I didn't warn you.
I guess I did warn him.
Why don't you loan the tripod to me for safekeeping?
Because I'd never see it again.
But don't you trust me?
It's not a question of trust, George. That tripod is hundreds of years old and extremely fragile.
I get your point.
Let's talk to him about the assassin.
Have you ever heard of the Hashashin?
Why, yes. It was a radical Muslim sect whose name became synonymous with murder. It was formed in 11th century Persia, shortly before the Crusades.
At roughly the same time as the Templars.
Yes. They gave a new word to our language. Assassini. The assassins.
How did the assassins get their name?
From the legends surrounding the secrets of their initiation rites. A young man who sought to join the sect was given hashish until he drifted into dreams. He awoke to find himself in a fabulous garden with everything he could wish for. The freshest water, the most delicious food, the choicest hash, and the most delectable women imaginable.
Cool. Do you have the address?
I haven't finished the story. There was a price to pay for this taste of paradise.
Wouldn't you just know it?
The young man would wake the next day to find himself back in the real world. He was told that he'd been given a glimpse of the heaven reserved for holy martyrs. A heaven he would enjoy for eternity if he was willing to join the Hashashin.
Okay.
How did the assassins operate?
Well, as I explained, the new recruits would be only too willing to die for the cause. They'd be instructed in the use of the dagger, poisons, and disguise. Then, the Grand Master of the sect would name an enemy of Allah.
And they'd stop at nothing to eliminate that enemy.
You got it. They were fearless and deadly.
Does the cult of the assassins still exist?
Take a look around at the world today. You tell me.
I guess the response would be no, but I think they do.
Where was the site of Montfaucon?
To the northeast, near the Canal Saint-Martin, but there's nothing there now. The old gibbet was torn down during the Revolution.
So now we know where that place is. Let's talk about Nicole again.
This friend who has the manuscript?
Oui, the anonymous girlfriend.
She lives at 361 Rue Jarry.
Ah, I know it well. I'll drop by. Just as soon as I can.
Okay. I may end up regretting that later. Let's now ask him about these unimportant things.
Do you recognize this white powder, Andre?
No.
What does this tissue mean to you?
Nothing.
Take a look at this nose, Labino.
It really doesn't interest me, Georgie.
What do you make of this tool?
Interesting. Where did you get it?
From a dig in Paris.
Vraiment? I didn't realize there were any excavations in progress in the city.
Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
Alamut is the name of the place where the Hashashin were based.
Where is it?
Interesting.
Somewhere in what used to be called Persia. I'm not too hot on modern geography, I'm afraid. The most recent map I have shows America as an English colony.
What do you make of this ID card?
Nothing.
Maybe not.
Let's see. Ask him about this.
Does the guy in this photograph look familiar to you?
No.
And then ask him about this.
What do you make of this?
It's the biggest gemstone I've ever seen. Where did you get it?
From Professor Pegram's messenger boy.
Did Pegram find this on his dig?
Yeah, the site where this was found was a Templar castle. Do you think it could be part of the Templar treasure?
No, I shouldn't think so. You're not one of those crazies who think the Templars still exist, are you?
Well, I try to keep an open mind on the matter.
And let's see if we can shock him.
I'd like to shake you by the hand, Andre.
Not now, Georgie.
And so we've
Thanks for
gone
your help,
through
Andre.
everything.
You're welcome.
And I suspect heavily we will, we're on page 10 now, probably trigger something by getting in this sarcophagus and waiting for the thieves. Otherwise, I suppose I am not really certain what the next step is. I guess I would go talk to the police. That is what the game told me to do. But we will have to figure that out in the next recording. Surprisingly, we only went up 1%, which that's the first time we've experienced that happen. So this might be a pretty large puzzle involving a lot of different locations and a lot of people to interact with. Anywho, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. I hope that helps out. If you want to support me further, go to my main YouTube page. On the right there's a button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.